Melody Shari recently broke her silence about growing claims that Martell Holt may have been interfering with her television career behind the scenes. What stood out wasn't loud accusations or dramatic outbursts, but the calm, controlled way she spoke. Her voice carried the weight of someone who had been holding things in for a long time. For many fans, this did not feel like another disagreement between former spouses. It felt deeper, more serious, because if true, it moves beyond personal drama into questions about livelihood, reputation, and professional space. To understand the strong reaction, you have to remember how their journey began. In the early seasons of the show, Melody and Martell were presented as a power couple, ambitious, business-focused, stylish, and family-centered. Viewers watched them build companies, raise their 4 children, and speak confidently about faith and partnership. On the surface, they appeared united and successful. But when Martell's long-term affair became public, that image shattered. The divorce unfolded in front of millions, bringing emotional confrontations, public debates, and intense scrutiny. Through it all, Melody continued filming, continued working, and slowly rebuilt her identity. She shifted from being part of a couple to standing firmly on her own, growing her businesses and strengthening her independence. Fans connected with that gradual transformation because it felt real and hard-earned. Martell's public journey looked different, often marked by criticism and unresolved tension. Each season seemed to reopen old wounds, and even attempts at co-parenting were complicated by the reality TV environment, where personal history is replayed repeatedly. That is why Melody's recent comments struck such a nerve. She suggested that there had been behind-the-scenes efforts that made her feel her position on television was being quietly challenged. She did not frame it as jealousy or simple conflict. Instead, she described it as interference that could affect her professional opportunities. That distinction changed the tone of the conversation. Relationship issues are one thing, but possible career interference feels far more serious. Once her words circulated online, reactions poured in. Supporters defended her resilience, recalling how she endured betrayal and public heartbreak while maintaining composure. Some viewers revisited past episodes, searching for signs of deeper tension. Martell's silence only fueled speculation, with some interpreting it as strategic and others as dismissive. Meanwhile, subtle shifts in cast interactions became subjects of discussion as fans tried to read between the lines. Yet beneath all the speculation lies a more personal reality. Melody is balancing motherhood, business responsibilities, and public scrutiny while trying to protect her peace. Her statement did not sound angry, it sounded tired. The quiet exhaustion of someone who has fought many battles and simply wants stability. At its core, this story is not just about television contracts or screen time. It is about boundaries and self-respect. Melody implied that she had stayed silent for a long time to maintain peace, but eventually realized that silence can allow narratives to grow unchecked. By speaking calmly and firmly, she shifted the narrative from drama to dignity. Whether the claims are ever fully addressed or not, one thing is clear. She is no longer the woman silently enduring chaos. She is protective of her growth, her career, and the life she rebuilt. And sometimes, drawing a quiet line speaks louder than any public confrontation ever could. As the conversation continues to unfold, many fans are beginning to see this moment as more than just another headline. For years, viewers watched Melody Shari carry emotional weight while still showing up with grace on Love and Marriage Huntsville. They saw her navigate betrayal, divorce, co-parenting, and public criticism without completely losing her composure. So when she hinted that her professional space might now feel uncomfortable or challenged, it felt like the pressure had shifted from personal pain to something even more serious, her stability and future opportunities. That is why the reaction has been so strong. Supporters are not just defending a cast member, they are defending a woman they watched rebuild herself step by step. At the same time, the silence from Martell Holt continues to leave room for interpretation. Some believe he may be avoiding further conflict. Others feel that without a direct response, the tension only grows. In reality television, silence can sometimes speak just as loudly as words. It allows speculation to expand, narratives to form, and opinions to solidify. And in this situation, every pause feels meaningful because the history between them is so layered and so public. What makes this chapter different from previous seasons is the emotional tone. This is not explosive anger or dramatic confrontation. It feels like boundaries being set. Melody's words carry the energy of someone who has already done the hard work of healing and is no longer willing to let past dynamics follow her into new spaces. Growth often changes relationships, even former ones. When one person evolves, becomes more independent, and gains confidence, the balance shifts. That shift can create discomfort, especially when the past still lingers in shared environments. Fans are also recognizing the deeper message behind her statement. It's about protecting peace. Peace is not just silence, it's safety, stability, and freedom from repeated emotional disruption. Melody has built businesses, strengthened her public image, and established herself as more than just someone's former spouse. She has created a brand and a presence that stand on her own. So the idea of anything threatening that space feels personal not only to her, but to the audience that supported her journey. As viewers wait to see how this unfolds, questions remain. Will there be clarification? Will production address anything? Or will the tension quietly settle without public explanation? Regardless of what happens next, one thing has clearly shifted. Melody is no longer reacting from a place of hurt. She is speaking from a place of awareness. That difference changes everything. It signals that she understands her value and is prepared to defend it calmly but firmly. In the end, this moment may become less about accusations and more about evolution. It highlights how difficult it can be to fully move forward when your past is permanently tied to your professional life. Yet, it also shows what quiet strength looks like. Melody's voice did not need to be loud to be powerful. It needed to be steady. And in that steadiness, many fans see not just resilience, but a woman who has decided that her peace, her platform, and her professional space are no longer negotiable. As this situation continues to develop, the spotlight is no longer just on what was said, but on what it represents. Melody Shari appears to be stepping into a new phase where she is no longer explaining herself, defending herself, or shrinking to keep things calm. Instead, she is setting expectations. For someone who has spent years being discussed, debated, and dissected on Love and Marriage Huntsville, that shift alone is significant. It shows growth, not just emotionally, but professionally. She is no longer just participating in the narrative, she is shaping it. There is also a bigger conversation happening underneath all of this. Reality television often blurs the line between personal relationships and professional obligations. When former spouses share a platform, especially one built on their real-life story, separating emotions from business can become almost impossible. If Melody feels that old relationship dynamics are crossing into her career space, that concern carries weight. It suggests that the past is not simply history, it is active in subtle ways. Meanwhile, Martell Holt remains publicly quiet about the specific claims. That silence continues to divide opinions. Some believe it is wise to avoid escalating tension. Others believe clarity would calm the growing speculation. In reality television, perception can quickly become reality in the eyes of the audience. Without direct responses, fans often fill in the gaps themselves, and those assumptions can linger long after the headlines fade. What makes this chapter emotionally layered is that it touches on something many viewers understand personally. the challenge of truly moving on when your past remains connected to your present. For Melody, that connection is not private. It plays out in interviews, episodes, social media discussions, and public commentary. Every season brings reminders of what once was. Every group event can reopen emotional doors that she may have already closed internally. Yet, through all of this, her recent tone suggests clarity rather than chaos. She does not sound like someone seeking sympathy. She sounds like someone protecting her boundaries. That distinction